with the big updates coming in. Donald Trump has unleashed a wave of strikes on Houthis in Yemen. This is the first big U.S. strike against Yemen's Houthis since President Donald Trump took office. So big international update coming in of the rebel group now confirming that the attack has killed at least 20 people. Washington has also warned Iran to stop backing the group. My colleagues Srinjoy Chaudhary as well as Pradeep Datta joining us on the broadcast. Srinjoy, this is a big update with the U.S. launching these strikes. The Houthis have attacked Israel and Red Sea shipping throughout the Gaza war. And now U.S. has struck and has also warned Iran to stop backing the Houthis.
Yes, this is a very significant development. First of all, military strikes have happened. We're not sure what kind of military strikes. It could be either missile strikes or it could be through aircraft. It could be both as well. Now, 20 plus people have been killed in the strikes. We don't know what kind of damage these strikes have caused to the Houthis' military capability. Presumably it has. But what the Houthis have done is attack shipping in that area, in the Gulf area, and this has caused enormous dislocation of shipping in that area. People, instead of using the Suez Canal and coming into the Indian Ocean, have had to go via the Cape of Good Hope, which is a much longer distance and makes it more expensive, more time-consuming, more difficult, a lot of things. But the Houthis have been struck before. Europe, the Americans have, one or two European powers have also done the needful. But this was a major strike. Secondly, the warning to Iran. That's also particularly important because we know that the Houthis have been supported by Iran. Now, this warning, what does it really entail? While President Donald Trump has not said exactly what it means, but let's not forget, there has been a strike by Israel on Iran, and before that by Iran on Israel. That had led to the most difficult situation, the most dangerous situation in West Asia in decades. Now the question is, if there is a warning, what will America do? Will it be sanctions? Because just recently there was talk regarding Iran's nuclear ambitions, and that too was on the table, on the agenda. Now if there is a warning, are we going back on that? So all of these things have led to enormous complications. We will have to see first if there are going to be further strikes on the Houthis and how effective they will be. It's one thing to strike, but if all these missiles and bombs fall in the desert, it's of no use. But 24 people have been killed. Are they civilians? Are they these Houthi fighters? So we need to know more about it. It may have been very effective. It may not have been so effective. But subsequent reports will tell us exactly how it was. Also, as far as this warning to Iran is concerned, what does it mean? What will it lead to? These are also things that have to be looked at very carefully.
Okay, all right. In fact, Donald Trump also took to social media. He took to Truth Social to say what the United States has done, and he has given a clear message to Iran saying support for Houthi terrorists must end immediately. Do not threaten the American people. Their president, who has received one of the largest mandates in presidential history, or the worldwide shipping lanes. He says that American vessels have come under attack. So, Pradeep, what would this mean for the war, further escalation and peace getting delayed further?
See, so far as Pentagon is concerned, they've already made it clear that more than 174 times the American vessels have come under attack by the Houthi terrorists who are controlling Yemen for the last now over a decade. And this is not only that Houthis had been targeting their vessels, but we have seen that Houthis has also been the one who had been targeting Israel. So Donald Trump had made one thing clear that at any cost they are going to defend Israel, whether it's by the Hamas, whether it's by Hezbollah, or whether it's by Houthis. So they will stand by Israel. And the recent, as Srinjoy was rightly saying, that they had been been targeting the vessels in that area, making things really difficult. So one has to take a longer route. So that's one of the reasons that this is one of the significant strike, because ever since Donald Trump has taken over arena power in his hand, this is the first ever bigger attack in Middle East, and this significant attack was carried out.
Just a moment, Mr. Arun Trigunya, former diplomat, also joins us on the broadcast. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. Big development internationally. The US has struck at Houthis and has also given a warning to Iran. How do you see this escalate further?
Well, as you know, that Iran supported Houthis, Hezbollah and Hamas, as well as Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq. And in the last 18 months that we have seen that Israel has been able to decimate both Hamas as well as Hezbollah. But the Houthis have continued to attack the American ships, the Western ships, and any Israeli ships in support of Hamas. And recently, when the ceasefire with Hamas has been under stress and is not going forward, the Houthis have been threatening Israel that until this is done, it will continue to attack. And it has successfully attacked the Israeli port of Eilat and other places. And Eilat is a Red Sea port of Israel, which has, of course, become non-functional now, has gone bankrupt actually. And therefore, most of the shipping, as you know, global shipping has come under stress. India has also deployed its ships to naval ships to escort the commercial shipping, but that has been impacted greatly. And the American ships have come under fire. So this is a pressure tactic to tell Houthis to stop it. Otherwise, the Americans are going to go after. How much successful it will be, we have seen. All the Western navies have attacked the Houthis, but Houthis have continued to survive so far. So at the same time, they are also talking to Iranians and asking Iran to come to the table as far as the nuclear deal is concerned. And they know that the Iranians do have influence over Houthis and should be able to exercise that. But at the moment, I think that this is a sign, a warning to Houthis. But how successful it will be, it remains to be seen.
Okay, all right. Thank you for joining us, Ambassador. We have Professor Madhav Nalapad also on the broadcast with us. Mr. Nalapad, previously as well, we've seen strikes on Houthis, but they have proven resilient in the past. What would this latest attack by the United States on Houthis mean for Yemen, for Iran, and for the United States as well?
Well, the fact is, interfering with mercantile shipping is a threat to livelihoods across the world. And the Houthis, frankly, are a threat to livelihood by their tactics. The fact of the matter is that they should not have got involved in this conflict that Hamas has ignited on 7th October 2023 with a terror strike on Israel. And the people of that part of Yemen, where the Houthis are ruling, are paying a very severe price for this already. And they're going to pay an even bigger price. It's significant that President Trump said this might go on for weeks. I think he's going to continue the strikes until such time as the Houthi danger to international shipping is completely removed. So I would like to say there's a big difference in degree and scope of these U.S. strikes as compared to earlier strikes. Donald Trump means business. Frankly, Joe Biden was not really in that kind of a mode. And from that point of view, the Houthis have made a mistake. And so far as Iran is concerned, it's a warning to Iran. Either you comply with the nuclear deal, or you're going to face the same situation, and not just in the hands of Israel, but the hands of the United States. You will notice that the Israelis have taken out a lot of the offensive and defensive weapons left behind by the defeated Syrian army of Bashar al-Assad. And those weapons are now in ruins. So that's why al-Shara has become very weak, and you're going to see civil war there. So very frankly, Donald Trump is very, very serious about this. Frankly, that ceasefire proposal with Russia, I don't think that the Russians are very eager about it. But this particular action, I think Donald Trump is going to be very successful. Okay. And in my view, it's good for all of international shipping.
Okay, all right. So you believe that the U.S. administration will be successful. Thank you for joining us. In fact, Donald Trump has said, hell will rain down upon you like nothing you have ever seen before. That's what he has written in his social media message. Ambassador Deepak Vohra also joining us. Good morning and thank you for joining us. Big update internationally. U.S. striking the Houthi bases. We're also looking at pictures of Donald Trump, and he has taken to social media to also warn Iran. How do you see it proceeding from here?
Well, thank you very much, ma'am. Always a privilege to be on your show. I just heard my colleague who was speaking earlier. He is brilliant. His knowledge is impeccable. May I just say that Donald Trump, whom I have met and who I have been observing, he practices what we call checklist diplomacy, which basically means he has his diary. Today I've got to fix this. Tomorrow I'll do that. The day after I'll deal with these fellows. Now, the Ukraine thing is pretty much over. It's gone. Then, of course, the Mexico and Canada thing is also, it's fizzling out. That now leaves us with the Middle East, where he has said quite clearly that we will stand fully by Israel, and we are going to do what we have to. One of his statements that many people sometimes tend to forget is that when Joe Biden had told the Israelis, you can hit Iran, but not their nuclear facilities, Donald Trump wasn't then president. He said, look, the only thing you should hit is Iran's nuclear facilities. He's very clear. There's no iffy stuff. There's no wishy-washy stuff about this guy. So I have served in that area, ma'am, for many years, and I can tell you that Yemen is an absolute mess. The Houthis have been talking about Palestine as their casus belli, as the reason for all the nonsense that they are doing. The Palestinian issue is also pretty much over. Nobody talks about Gaza anymore. The Israelis are doing what they have to. So my feeling is that he's going to hit Yemen very hard. Earlier, the Israelis had destroyed that port that was burning, Ubaida, or whatever the name is, burning for a long time. The Houthis know the strength of Israel. They know the strength of the United States. But they are being egged on by Iran, because Iran has to put up a last-ditch effort. Their Palestinian thing is over. The Syrian thing is over. Now that leaves them only with the Houthis. That's the, we talked of Hamas, we talked of Hezbollah, we talked of Houthi, the three H's. Only the Houthis are left. And now it's time for them to face hell, as Donald Trump has said. He says what he means what he says. Yemen, already the world's poorest country, mass starvation, whatever. The legitimate government was booted out. But I believe that in the next few weeks, you're going to see much greater action, not the symbolic stuff that the British and the Joe Biden administration will do. This guy means business. He and Israel combined will probably, ma'am, take Yemen back to the pre-Stone Age, where nobody's going to rise for a long time. I think it's coming.
Okay, so a lot expected in the coming weeks. This is unprecedented action by the United States. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast, Ambassador. There have been concerns, of course. There have been 7 years of strikes on Houthis, but they've also always managed to counter-strike. But before we get to that, let's tell you what President Donald Trump has tweeted. He has also taken to Truth Social, the social media, and he says, today I've ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the unrestrained Houthis just kept going. So blaming the previous administration while saying the action that is being taken under him. He goes on to say it has been over a year since a U.S. flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. So after the attack on the U.S. vessels by the Houthis, this is the counter-strike that is coming in from the United States. Then he also goes on to call out Iran for its backing of Houthis, as he says, funded by Iran, the Houthi thugs have fired missiles at U.S. aircraft, targeted our troops and allies. These relentless assaults have cost the United States and the world economy many billions of dollars while this attack continues to come in. So this is what he has put up on social media. Let me go back to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, while many have, of course, spoken about the backing that Houthis have with Iran, there have been strikes previously as well that have been launched on the Houthis, but they've also always struck back. They've also always been resilient. Is it going to be different this time around, and what can be expected?
Well, much will depend on how effective these strikes are. Yes, 24 people have been killed, but are they these Houthi fighters? Is it collateral damage? We need to know that. Also, how effective will the strikes be? How determined will the strikes be? Is this going to be a one-off thing, or are there going to be future strikes as well? Is Trump going to hit the Houthis again and again? Are there going to be missile strikes? Is he looking at long-range aircraft launched from the aircraft carriers? So these, or is it going to be a mix? We don't know. All we've been hearing are military strikes. So presumably they are missiles. Now the question is, they have to be persistent and they have to be effective if they have to reduce the willpower and also the military capability of the Houthis. Also, the supplies that the Houthis get, the military supplies, have to be stopped. So that's why the warning took place. So at the end of the day, how determined is America and how effective is it? There's no point firing missiles and they're hitting 3 tents and 2 camels. They have to be effective. They have to hit the right areas. They have to hit the right military spots. So if that happens, and if this goes on in a persistent way, as opposed to a one-off thing, the British have also done this, Europeans have done this, America has done this in the past. But is this going to be different? Is this going to be effective? Is this going to be persistent? And if it does, will it destroy the Houthi capabilities? If it does, then the Red Sea would be an easier place to go through.
Okay, Red Sea, Suez Canal, crucial trade routes between Asia and Europe as well. Pradeep, Donald Trump has spoken about the attacks on US vessels, and he has also spoken about the attacks on the vessels of the allies, saying that this has had an impact on the world economy as well. Like Sanjay was also pointing out, it would be important to see how effective these strikes are going to be. But the warning that has come in from Trump clearly says that all hell will break loose, asking Iran not to back Houthis anymore.
See, Donald Trump needs business because we have seen from day one, ever since he has taken out the reins of power in his hand, he has been hitting out at all these people who have been trying to target Israel in the past, and also who are trying to hit out at the economy. Because when he wanted a ceasefire between Ukraine and Russia, because he knew that at the end of the day, if this war is going to continue, because Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, this is going for the gas. Oil and natural gas is also concerned. So here also we have seen that the Houthis have been targeting, because so far Hamas as well as Hezbollah almost had been decimated and demolished by Israel in the last 2 years ever since they carried out the attack. But Houthis are continuing with the attack. They are continuously targeting their vessels using mostly drones and some of the missiles. So that's one of the reasons that now the US has gone after Houthis, and he has already made it clear through his social media post that hell will break out. And a message has been sent loud and clear even to the Iran, because Iran had been using Houthis, Hamas as well as proxies in the Middle East so that Iran can have its influence. So now Iran has been warned that stop aiding and abetting Houthis, and if you continue to do so, we are also going to target you. That's what actually the message has been sent. And Srinja was rightly saying earlier, there may be more sanctions on Iran if Iran will not stop backing Houthis, because for the years we have seen that how these terror organizations, whether it's Houthis, whether it's Hamas, whether it's Hezbollah, Iran had been backing them, despite many of them are the Sunni organizations, because Iran had always used them as an asset, as their proxies to have an influence over this area. In this particular strike, Iran, though the Americans have claimed that 24 have been killed, but so far as Houthis are concerned, they are saying that the civilians have been targeted, 14 civilians have died, and which include 3 children, and even the power station has been hit. But then there is always a information warfare going on, because always the Houthis will try to blame Americans for targeting civilians, and nothing of that sort has happened. No, not a single Houthi rebel has been killed so far. That's what actually the Houthis will claim. But so far as Americans are concerned, they have made their intention clear that one, they want the peace in this region. They are going to back Israel. Second, they will not allow Iran to flex its muscle and its tentacles in the region and call shots and use these terror organizations like Houthis, Hamas, and Hezbollah for its vested political interest and the geostrategic interest. And the third important thing is that they are going to take on Houthis because at the end of the day, economy matters to not only America and many other countries also. So they will want the Red Sea to be safer and Red Sea to be better because the Houthis had been controlling this area, and we have seen this thing happening since October 23 when the first time attack took place. And after that, we have seen how the Houthis had been backing Hezbollah. Hamas almost decimated and demolished. The Houthis continue to call shots, and they are the one who have been targeting many of the ports in Israel. And Americans have made it clear that they will stand by Israel come what may be. We've seen that the visa has also been revoked.
Okay.
And there is going to be zero tolerance towards them.
Okay, all right. We're facing some interruptions. Pradeep will come back to you for that update. Let's also go across to Srinjoy. Srinjoy, while you spoke of the airstrikes being effective and we spoke about how the Houthis have also struck back every single time, will these airstrikes and the attacks on Houthis hold the answer, or will the United States also have to engage with a lot of diplomatic engagements, especially with countries like Russia and China?
As far as the Houthis are concerned, the issue really for America is Iran. Now, if it's about Houthis having weapons, now if Houthis continue to get their missiles, their short-range missiles from, then naturally Iran comes into the picture. But we have to see how this pans out. First of all, how effective are these strikes? Because it's got to a stage when the world economy has been hurt by the Houthis. Now, instead of ships carrying cargo going through the Red Sea and up the Suez Canal into the Mediterranean, they have to take the longer route through the Cape of Good Hope, south of South Africa. Now, that is putting pressure on the world's economy. This is not something anybody wants. Plus, of course, this targeting of vessels, whether they are military, whether they are civilian, whether it's white shipping by the Houthis, and the ships can be European, they can be American, whatever.
Okay.
Now, this is not something the West is very happy with. And these attacks have led to Trump's attacks in the past and this one. But the important thing to see is, we know that the American carrier groups are there, but how determined will the attacks be?
Okay.
How effective will they be? And we'll know if this carries on, if these attacks go on for 3 or 4 days,
okay,
then we will know the extent of damage in terms of the Houthi military capability.
Okay, all right. In fact, the region which is considered a Houthi stronghold has been targeted by the United States, with Donald Trump saying that the airstrikes will continue. Thank you for joining us for the moment, Srinjoy, as well as Pradeep. We continue tracking the developments there, but let's get you some of the other top international stories. Pakistan,